Ever wondered how artificial intelligence can revolutionize health and safety in your workplace? Well, you're about to find out. I'm Orchid Fourie, and today we've been given exclusive early access to Walli. Walli is SafetyWallet's AI health and safety consultant, and today we get to play around in the beta version of Walli version 1.3. In our digital transformation of health and safety, we discussed some of the new technologies that are being released aimed at creating a safer workplace for everyone. Navigating the complex world of health and safety just got a whole lot easier thanks to the rapid advancements in artificial intelligence. And today is a very special day as this will be my first time using Walli. Let's hop straight into it. This is Walli. Now, at first glance, let's just have a look to see what is available once you've logged into the platform. At the top right, you can see that there's a number of credits available, which I believe is linked to the types of subscriptions on offer from SafetyWallet. Different kinds of subscriptions will give you different levels or different amounts of credits that are available for use within the platform. Top left, we can see the current version that Walli is on. And we can see that Walli's greeted me nice and friendly. His face is available there as well. There's a couple of automatic prompts at the bottom of the screen linked to regulatory compliance and legal framework, risk assessment and management, health and safety development, and continuous improvement and safety innovation. These take me back to ChatGPT, but the difference with Walli is that he's been specifically trained on South African legislation, health and safety practices, change management, amongst other things that are available for the SafetyWallet subscribers to question him on and to gain solutions for their health and safety challenges that they face. Also, on the left-hand side of the screen, we can see that there's a bit of a sidebar that you can open up to view your chat history. Now, currently, we don't have a history here yet, but as we progress through this recording, we will obviously jump around between current and historic chats to see how it functions and how effective it is. At the bottom of the screen, you can see that the user's name is available along with a credit balance. And as I've mentioned before, that's linked to your type of subscription and the amount of credits that you get based on your SafetyWallet subscription. On that note, I'd like to thank SafetyWallet for giving us the opportunity to review Walli, which is basically the first time it's being made available to the public, and for allowing me to have the amount of credits that they've given us to test Walli and to naturally bring this information to you, the viewer. Right, now that we've seen the basic view of Walli, I think we need to start by testing it and to see what kind of feedback we can get from Walli based on the questions that we ask. Naturally, a focus on health and safety is applied as Walli is trained on health and safety specifically. Before I type any prompts, let's start by looking at the risk assessment and management information or prompt that they've provided to us as a standard once I've logged in. And let's see what kind of feedback we get if I select it. So I've selected the risk assessment tab, which was available, and we can see that Walli is typing at this time, naturally constructing information based on the question itself, which reads, what is the best method for conducting comprehensive risk assessments to identify workplace hazards and manage these risks effectively? Right, so let's see what Walli thinks. Naturally, it's taking a bit of time here, which may be a bit of a hindrance for someone that's in a hurry. But I also think that, let's see how long it takes, but I think that it may be, there we go. Now the answer is available. Definitely faster than a phone call. Let's see what it says. First of all, preparation and planning, establish the scope, looking at the boundaries, the risk assessment, including areas, processes, activities, tasks to be assessed, assembling the team, gathering a multidisciplinary team, including individuals, right, persons from different forms of background, using the triple P system, which is a health and safety management system. And it looks like Walli's been trained on the system itself as well, which would make it a lot easier for any person that's responsible for implementing the system. Hazard identification, walkthrough surveys to be conducted, task-based risk assessment methodology to be used, So it looks like he's been trained on the methodology as well. Consulting, documentation, and records. So record keeping, naturally a health and safety requirement, sometimes seen as a burden. Engaging with employees, which is vital. You can't do a risk assessment in isolation, so I like that answer as well. Then risk analysis and evaluation, determining the likelihood and severity. That's where your methodology comes into play. Using the risk matrix, again within the methodology, just stating the importance of it, and then considering existing controls, which is also vital. I mean, you can't over control something without considering the current controls. You can't under control something without considering current controls. And then we've got the risk control measures, applying the hierarchy of controls, implementing behavioral change programs. Again, that's an element that's been built into the PPP system, and that develop safety mindset, getting people to think the right way about health and safety. And it's made mention here of NLP techniques, which I believe is also a coaching course available on the SafetyWallet platform called My Safety Shop, which people can invest in. Documentation and communication, so looking at recording findings, communicating with stakeholders, which is vital, making sure that people can understand the risks, the hazards, and the controls that need to be implemented. And then to review and continuously improve on the risk assessment itself. So you don't just have a risk assessment on the shelf, but a working document. So I really enjoy this answer. I'd like to respond to this, and let's see if we can make this as practical as possible. So let's see, how can I implement this approach time effectively to ensure, effectively to ensure maximum compliance to health and safety standards. What type of planning do I need to do? Excuse my typing, I'm not a professional typist. Let's see. Right. Okay, Walli. Think. See what he has to say. You would notice that I've made a bit of a typing error there as well, so my spelling isn't 100% correct. Let's hope that Walli is lenient towards my fingers not doing the work the way they should or would. And again, there's a bit of time that's lapsing for Walli to put together the answer. And you would need to notice that the type of question that I asked was a little bit vague. I did that on purpose just to see what kind of an answer he's going to give me. I wasn't quite specific. Wow, okay, so this is quite elaborate. So he mentions strategic planning, looking at defining the objectives. So where do we want to go? And naturally, I think also strategic objectives from a business point of view shouldn't only be looking at your health and safety objectives. So what is the company's objective as well? Looking after employees, naturally, that should be one of them, in my view. Scope identification, timeline, and milestones that need to be considered. Team allocation and training, which is a very good point. You can't do a risk assessment in isolation. Resource allocation, vital. Making sure that employers commit to the process, making sure that people are available to do the work, or outsourcing the work to someone like SafetyWallet and their partners to come and actually conduct the risk assessment on their behalf. Data gathering and analysis, which takes time. We're going to see if we can save time by using Walli. Risk control strategy, my apologies. So prioritized implementation, phased approach, so don't rush it, make sure that you cover everything. Communication and engagement, so regular updates, employee involvement, again vital. Review and continuous improvement comes up again. And then we've got leveraging support networks. So engaging with SafetyWallet, utilize the resources, support and training offered by SafetyWallet to maintain compliance and stay abreast of best practices and legislative changes. Right, so that's a really, really good answer. Let's get a little bit more specific. What kinds of hazards would I encounter in the logistics industry for my, let's call it, depot? So I'm getting a little bit more specific, diving into an industry specifically here, like I've mentioned, for a depot. I'm keen to see how specific Wally's going to get in this regard, and then I'd like to jump back in history to the very first question and see if we can challenge Walli a little bit to see and paint him into a corner. Right, so he's still building his answer. Right, so let's have a look at the answer that Walli provided to us. So he's mentioning physical hazards, things like manual handling, slip, trips and falls, which is something that happens quite a lot in any industry. Falling objects, vehicle accidents, noise, which I don't think a lot of people actually know that noise is actually a physical hazard. Chemical hazards, which is exposure to harmful substances, spills and leaks. Biological hazards, ergonomic hazards, interesting. Environmental hazards like extreme temperatures, poor air quality, and then we've got psychosocial hazards, which is also an interesting one, looking at things like stress and workplace violence. So very much the behavior of people at work. Then we've got electrical hazards as well, which is everywhere. Right, so I think the answer in itself is quite good. It actually also looks at mitigation strategies to attack or to control these hazards. So implementing a comprehensive health and safety management system, like the triple P, which is referencing, regularly conduct risk assessments to identify and mitigate hazards, provide training and education to employees, ensure proper signage and labeling, maintain clean, well-lit and orderly workplaces, so looking at housekeeping, implementing ergonomic interventions to minimize the risk of musculoskeletal disorders, and then fostering a culture that promotes mental well-being and provides support for stress management. So it not only provides us with the answer, it also gives us a little bit of advice, which I enjoy. Because quite often, data in, data out, you would ask a question and you wouldn't necessarily get any guide or guideline as to what to do about it. You've got to remember that Walli is also built on the GPT platform. So with that being said, it's also learning as we are asking questions. I want to take the conversation a little bit further and get even more specific. So let's focus on ergonomic hazards. And I'm going to copy this section, right? And I'm going to ask him what kind of legislation references following to be controlled in the workplace. And you would notice I didn't even ask with regards to whether it's a regulation or part of the act, just asking what kind of legislation. So let's see what it says. And now it's typing. Now, while Walli is drafting his answer for me, you would notice that the number of credits is becoming less and less, which I think for a subscription which is smaller, which would have less credits, that might be a challenge for a user. Because if you have a lot of questions, and if you're asking these questions in the conversation format like I'm doing now, that might be a problem because you might run out of credits before you actually have the solutions to the challenges that you're looking at. So naturally, having more credits would be more beneficial. Or that means that you would need to think about your problems before you ask the question, meaning that you would have to draft your prompts before you give them to Walli and give a lot more information in the question that you ask so that you can get more detail in the responses. Because remember, vague questions may lead to vague answers as well. So get a little bit more specific in the questions that you're asking too. So I've asked questions now with regards to the legislation that looks at the ergonomics specifically. And my question was vague. It says now, in South Africa, ergonomic hazards in the workplace, specifically those related to repetitive motion and poorly designed workstations, are addressed under the following legislation and regulations. So it references the OSH Act, the main piece of legislation, which we all know about, then the general safety regulations. So although not explicitly detailing ergonomic hazards, these regulations require employers to implement measures that prevent accidents and incidents. And I was quite interested in seeing general safety regulations there, but it does give a very good explanation in terms of saying that it doesn't specifically require the employers to implement measures regarding ergonomic hazards. It does look at providing a safe workplace. And then we've got the regulations for hazardous biological agents. These regulations outline requirements for assessing, monitoring, and controlling workplace exposures to biological agents. While focused on biological agents, the underlying approach to risk assessment and control can apply to managing ergonomic risks. Very interesting perception and take on ergonomics as well. Then we get to ergonomics regulations, specifically for 2019. Significant development in directly addressing ergonomic hazards is the promulgation of the ergonomics regulation under the Occupational Health and Safety Act in December 2019. These regulations specifically require employers to assess ergonomic risks in the workplace and take measures to prevent exposure to ergonomic hazards that may cause injury or ill health to employees. This includes risks associated with repetitive work, poor workstation design, and manual handling that may lead to musculoskeletal disorders. I want to get a little bit more specific on what it said here, and I'm going to ask Walli to please reference specific say regulations and or items from, and then I'm going to copy this, Ergonomics Regulation 2019, that refers to the penalties of not conducting such required ergonomic activities. There we go. I'm keen to see whether Walli would actually reference specific lines or items or sections from the regulation pertaining to the penalties of not conducting the activities as they are required. Let's see what he says in that regard. Right, so we have our answer from Walli. It says the Ergonomics Regulation 2019 under the Occupational Health and Safety Act of South Africa outlines the requirements for addressing ergonomic risks in the workplace. However, specific penalties for non-compliance with these requirements are not detailed within the Ergonomics Regulation itself, but are rather covered under the overarching enforcement mechanisms of the Occupational Health and Safety Act. Right, so then it starts looking at fines, imprisonment, stop work orders, and additional orders that may be issued when found to be non-compliant. So also an interesting answer, it doesn't specifically reference the wording directly from the regulations. So let's have a look. Say, can you provide the quotes from the ergonomic regulations detailing that a ergonomic risk assessment must be conducted. And again, you can see a bit of a spelling mistake there. I'm really glad that Walli is so forgiving with regards to my typing skills. Let's see what kind of answer he presents us. Right, so let's see here. It says specifically, it's now referenced parts of the regulation. It says an employer must, before the commencement of any work that may expose employees to ergonomic risks, have an ergonomic risk assessment performed by a competent person. So that's an excellent answer, and I'm glad to see that he can actually reference the regulation specifically word by word and quoting it as it stands, which is amazing. Because now if I need to motivate this to a financial director or an employer as to why certain control measures need to be implemented with regards to ergonomics, let's see if we can do that. So I'm going to copy this ergonomic risk assessment. And let's make it in conversation format. So based on your answer, provide me with a letter to my managing director on why we need to conduct an ergonomic risk assessment, and that funding for such assessment needs to be provided. Let's make the letter as positive as possible. And let's just fix some of the spelling here because it might not know what I'm saying. And that one as well. I've asked him to address the tone of the letter. I'm keen to see if he actually does that as well. And let's have a look at what he gives us, what kind of a solution he's going to give me to motivate to the managing director that we need to pay for a competent person to come and do an ergonomic risk assessment at our depot, which naturally can't just be done by anybody. Let's see, again, one more spelling mistake there. Right, so this is impressive. So the feedback's provided to me within the format of what would be the letter itself. So from me, my position, the company name, the address, where I am, my email address, my phone number, and the date of the letter to the managing director, company name, address, and where he or she may be. And let's have a look and see whether it's actually hit the tone right. So, dear Managing Director, I hope this letter finds you well as we thrive to maintain a workplace that not only fosters productivity but also ensures the utmost safety and well-being of our team. I would like to bring to your attention the pivotal role of conducting an ergonomic risk assessment within our organization. The well-being of our employees is a cornerstone of our success. The workspace environment significantly impacts their health, motivation, and efficiency. An ergonomic risk assessment is a proactive step towards identifying and mitigating potential ergonomic hazards, which in turn aligns with our commitment to creating a safe and conducive working environment. So very good English as well. Conducting an ergonomic risk assessment is not just a regulatory requirement under the ergonomics regulations of 2019 of the Occupational Health and Safety Act. It's a strategic investment in our most valuable asset, our people. The assessment will enable us to, and I'm not going to read everything from here, but it says prevent work-related musculoskeletal disorders, enhance productivity, foster employee satisfaction and retention, ensure legal compliance, and optimize operational costs. So it's really diving into the interests of the executive and why they're doing business. So they're not only looking at a production issue or ground level issue, they're really looking at it from, Walli's looking at it from a strategic point of view, why this is important for the business and its continuity and its success, which I love. I think that's amazing. And then at the end it says, I propose that we allocate the necessary resources to engage a qualified health and safety professional to conduct a comprehensive ergonomic risk assessment. This initiative is a testament to our proactive approach in safeguarding our workforce and enhancing our operational efficiency. I am confident that with your support, we can take a significant step forward in enhancing our workplace. And then it rounds it off by saying, thank you for considering this important initiative. I look forward to your feedback and am hopeful your support in making our workplace safer and more productive for everyone. Warm regards, and then obviously my name can be filled out there. So I can copy this, possibly put it on a company letterhead, fill out the spaces which need to be filled out. I can edit it if I like. I can maybe ask Walli to change the tone a little bit, make it more serious. The fact that it's answered me in a very positive tone tells me that I can change the tone as I wish. But essentially, what this tells me is that I can take whatever challenge there may be, and if I'm struggling to get buy-in from management, or if I'm struggling to get buy-in from other individuals, I can use the same approach to maybe motivate someone to follow an SOP. I can maybe address unsafe behaviors. I can maybe address horseplay and send maybe a memo out to the whole company and stating why horseplay is a no-go and why it should be avoided. But essentially, from a problem-solving perspective, this has been excellent. The questions that I have are, first of all, who is Walli for? And by looking at its functionality, the range of questions on which I tested it, which I believe is still limited, I think you can literally test it for days, depending on how many credits you have available. First of all, I'd say Walli would be for any practicing health and safety professional that wants to save time. Secondly, I would say it's for any person that has an interest in health and safety, maybe studying health and safety courses, health and safety officers, health and safety representatives, health and safety committee members, management, persons that are in management that need to resolve issues effectively and quickly, and then they don't necessarily want to reach out to other persons, and again, they want to save time. They want the assistance quickly and effectively and accurately. I think Walli has proven all of that today. Currently, Walli is only sitting on version 1.3. If this is its capability at this point in time, knowing what is available in terms of AI out there, there's a bright future for Walli. If you consider possible photo input, video input, maybe sound, imagine having a Walli that's alive and well on your screen that you can talk to, that maybe advises you while things are happening. I think possibly in the far future, if we can have a Walli that interacts live with whatever is happening in your place of work, well, suddenly the possibilities look endless. Overall, apart from the fact that you would need to be patient when you've sent your prompt, maybe just jump over to another app, answer an email, quickly have a look, take a call, or do something instead of being frustrated with Walli. It's only version 1.3 now. It's only going to get better. I would give it a solid 9.5 out of 10 at this point, the 0.5 being only for the bit of wait between prompts. But if you do your homework before you start chatting with Walli and you set up your prompts properly, I think the rewards will be better. So yes, solid 9.5, and then to SafetyWallet, I want to say congratulations and well done. I think the general public will be very impressed, and I think health and safety professionals, especially any person that's working in the health and safety industry, or that has an interest in health and safety, will enjoy using this platform in the future. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Share your thoughts about Walli or other innovative safety tools that you've encountered. Remember, stay safe, stay inspired, and until next time, take care.